There comes a moment when silence speaks louder than 1,000 desperate messages, a moment when your absence becomes your loudest presence. You do not need to call, you do not need to text, you need only to remember who you are. The one who once doubted their worth is gone. In their place stands someone who no longer seeks outside themselves for approval, for closure, for recognition. They walked away, not from you, but from the idea of you they failed to fully grasp. Let them go. Let them sit with the void your presence once filled. Because when you no longer chase, the universe must turn toward you. You must understand. Your reality reflects not what others think of you, but what you believe about yourself. If you assume you are the one who has left, you live that script. But if you assume you are the gift that was unrecognized, the treasure that was misplaced, then life will reflect that assumption in ways that astound you. And they will feel it. Not because you said anything, but because you said nothing. In the silence, your energy speaks. Your transformation becomes the thunder that shakes their soul. You do not need to remind them of your worth. Your worth is not up for discussion. It is a silent knowing, radiating through the very atmosphere. When you stop trying to prove, you start to create. When you withdraw your energy, it returns to you tenfold, charged with clarity and power. Do not be tempted to reach out for crumbs. You are the feast. You are the vision they once touched and couldn't hold. Let the distance do its work. Let your evolution humble them. Let your glow haunt the edges of their awareness. But more than this, let it be about you. Let your silence not be revenge, but revelation. The revelation that you were always whole, always radiant, always divine. You simply forgot, and now you remember. Don't call, don't text, don't explain. Assume the highest version of yourself and live there. And if they must feel regret, let it be the echo of a life that could have been, but was too blind to see. You've risen, now stay there. Silence is your spiritual power. It is not the absence of sound, it is the presence of alignment. When you are silent, not because you have nothing to say, but because you have nothing to prove, you step into a sacred place of dominion. You no longer seek outside yourself for confirmation of who you are. You rest in the deep knowing that your value is not determined by anyone else's inability to see it. We have been conditioned to believe that action, noise, and reaction are signs of strength. But this is an illusion. True power never screams. It doesn't chase. It doesn't beg. It doesn't need to correct, explain, or defend. Why? Because it already knows, it already is. Silence, then, is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is the decision to withdraw from the chaotic need to be heard and instead align with the truth that does not change. When someone leaves you, betrays you, misunderstands you, your first instinct may be to call, to text, to explain your side. That is the old you reacting from fear, from lack, from a desire to be seen. But once you awaken, you realize something divine. You are never meant to convince anyone of your worth. The moment you try to prove, you admit you doubt it. But when you go silent, not out of anger, not out of pride, but out of power, you declare to the universe, I know who I am. And that is enough. In that silence, your energy recalibrates, your self-concept solidifies. And ironically, it is in that moment that others begin to feel your absence, not just physically, but spiritually. Your presence lingers because it was rooted in authenticity, in truth, in love. And now your silence becomes the mirror they cannot avoid. They see themselves more clearly because you've stepped away. You've stopped feeding the illusion, and the mask falls. But this silence is not passive, it is creative. It is where reality bends. As you go within, as you hold to your vision of self, calm, whole, radiant, you begin to shift timelines. You're no longer reacting to the world, you are shaping it. And the more you stay silent, the more you hear. You hear the whispers of your soul, reminding you that you were never the one who lacked. You were never the one who was less than. You were always the light, but they could not bear to look directly at it. There is something holy about not chasing. There is something regal about staying still when the world expects you to collapse. And it is this spiritual stillness that becomes your shield, your voice, your power. You no longer send messages into the void. You send them inward, into your imagination, and that inner world becomes the womb of your new life. So when the urge rises to explain, to reach, to make them see, pause, breathe. Remember who you are. Remember that silence is not the absence of love, but the presence of it. Love for yourself. You are not punishing them by withholding your words. You are honoring yourself by refusing to dilute your essence in places that do not recognize it. They may come back, they may remember, they may regret, but by then you will be different, elevated, whole, not because they returned, but because you did, to yourself, to the deep, unmoving place within that always knew. Your silence is not emptiness. It is fullness contained. And when you finally realize this, you won't need to say a word. Your life will speak for you. You are not the one who is abandoned. That idea is a lie the world taught you to believe, a shadow cast by ego and fear. When someone walks away from your life, what you must understand deeply at the level of the soul is this: they are not rejecting you, they are turning their back on the mirror that showed them the truth of themselves. You did not lack. You did not fall short. They simply could not face the reflection you held up to them, the reflection of what they were not ready to heal, to grow into, or to receive. Their leaving does not mean you are unworthy. It means they were unprepared to meet you in the light you are standing in. They mistook the brightness of your authenticity as discomfort rather than opportunity. When someone cannot meet your depth, they often choose to escape it, and so they go, not because you weren't enough, but because they were afraid of what being with you would require of them. Your love, your honesty, your presence. They are sacred, and not everyone is ready to encounter the divine in human form. You are whole. From the moment you were born, wholeness was your nature. Relationships do not complete you, they reveal you. And when someone leaves, it does not mean you are broken, it simply ends the chapter where your presence was misread, misused, or misunderstood. Their departure does not subtract from your being. If anything, it makes room for you to remember the truth. No one who truly sees you could ever walk away from the treasure they've found. What we call abandonment is often not about us at all. People leave because of their own limitations, wounds, and illusions. They project their fears onto you. They withdraw from the connection not because of your lack, but because of their own. This is why taking their actions personally only binds you to their energy. You begin to spiral into false stories. What did I do wrong? What if I had been better, quieter, more this or less that? But this path leads nowhere. It distracts you from the only truth that matters. You were always enough. You see, when someone walks away, they are not walking away from your essence. They are walking away from what your essence demanded of them. Growth, accountability, presence. And because they were not ready to rise to the occasion, they leave. That is not your burden to carry. That is not your story to fix. Instead of mourning their exit as a loss, begin to view it as a divine protection. You were spared from continuing to pour your love into a vessel that could not hold it. You were saved from shrinking to fit their comfort zone. You were redirected back to yourself, the one who knows how to love without losing, how to give without begging, how to stay grounded when everything around you changes. So hold your head high, not out of pride, but out of remembrance. You are not the abandoned. You are the one they could not handle. You are the one who stayed true while they faltered. And though they may one day come to understand what they walked away from, that realization belongs to them, not you. You owe no explanation for your worth. You owe no change, no closure. You owe only devotion to the self that knows. Being left does not mean being less. It simply means that what they were running from still lives within them, and you were the mirror that exposed it. Stand in that truth. Be unmoved by their exit. You are whole. You have always been, and no one can take away what was never theirs to hold. What you assume about yourself will echo in their mind long after you're gone. This is a powerful truth that often goes unnoticed in the hustle of daily life and relationships. Every thought, every assumption, and every belief you hold about yourself doesn't just shape your own reality. It reverberates in the minds of those who interact with you. It echoes in their thoughts long after they've encountered you, because whether consciously or unconsciously, your self-concept becomes the lens through which they perceive you. And this perception is not just influenced by your words or actions, but by the energy you emit, the silent messages of your inner world. How others see you is in fact a reflection of how you see yourself. If you walk through the world believing you are unworthy, weak, or undeserving, that assumption will project onto everyone around you. They will pick up on the subtle cues you send out, whether it's in your body language, your tone, or even the way you allow them to treat you. And this projection becomes the filter through which they relate to you. But when you begin to change how you see yourself, when you claim your worth and align with your own inner power, it shifts everything. The world around you can no longer see you through the same lens. The energy you bring forth, the assumption of your own value, becomes the message they receive, even if they don't fully understand why. When you hold a high self-concept, one rooted in self-love and self-respect, it commands a different type of interaction. People feel that. They can't always articulate it, but they know. There is a magnetic pull that comes from the belief that you are worthy of greatness. And even when they may not understand you, even when you are no longer in their presence, that energy lingers. It sticks in their minds, prompting questions, lingering thoughts, and sometimes even regret. How did I not see it, they may wonder. How did I let someone like that slip through my fingers? The assumption you had of yourself, your own internal truth, becomes a silent message they can't ignore. It echoes in their consciousness long after you're no longer around. But this is not a game of manipulation or strategy. This is the natural law of attraction. People are always drawn to what they perceive as power, confidence, and self-respect. It's not about being arrogant or overbearing. It's about being in alignment with your true self. When you know your worth, when you carry the assumption that you are worthy of the best life has to offer, that energy becomes contagious. You no longer need to convince anyone of anything because they will feel it without words. Your presence becomes the message, the confirmation, the proof of your own internal truth. Your self-concept is the only message that truly matters. It's the one that shapes your experiences, that guides the choices you make, and that ultimately determines how others experience you. If you see yourself as small, others will treat you as such. If you believe you are weak or unworthy of respect, that is exactly what you will receive. But if you see yourself as strong, valuable, and deserving of all the goodness life has to offer, that is what others will come to see in you as well. The external world will always reflect your inner world. This is not something you can escape. It's the way the universe operates. So, as you move through life, remember that the assumptions you hold about yourself are not just personal. They are universal. They shape your reality and leave an imprint on the minds of everyone you encounter. Your self-concept is the message they receive long after you have left the room, long after your words have faded. And when you finally come to realize this, you begin to see that the most important work is not what you say or do, it's what you believe about yourself. When you change that belief, everything else must change. Desire not their return, desire your elevation. This is the truth the world often tries to distract you from. The natural urge when someone leaves or when something falls apart is to look outward, to wish for things to go back to the way they were. But nothing of lasting value is ever found by looking behind you. What has gone has served its part. What has left has fulfilled its role. Clinging to the past is like watering a dead garden. It does not bring life. It only delays your blooming. The power lies not in begging for their return, nor in wondering if they still think of you. The true power lies in choosing your elevation. When you rise in consciousness, when you shift your inner state to a higher understanding, a deeper self-love, a firmer belief in your own worth, you no longer ask for what once was. You realize you are never waiting on them to return. You are waiting on you to rise. This is not about revenge or pride. This is about alignment. Your life is not a collection of random events. It is a mirror. It reflects you, your assumptions, your beliefs, your identity. If someone leaves you while you are in a lower state of consciousness and you later elevate to a higher state, one of confidence, worthiness, peace, and purpose, that person must either rise to meet you or fade out of your experience, not because you force them to go, but because the new frequency cannot hold the old pattern. You see, the people in your life are not permanent fixtures. They are reflections. Each of them is drawn to the state you are embodying. If your self-concept is one of lack, unworthiness, or dependency, then those who enter your life will echo that story. But when you shift, when you begin to see yourself as whole, loved, radiant, and complete, then those who once matched your old state will either transform or be removed. And this is why you must not desire their return. To wish for them to come back is to anchor yourself to the version of you that they left. You must instead focus all your energy on your own ascension. Who are you when you are no longer seeking approval? Who are you when you are no longer trying to be chosen? Who are you when you decide that you are already enough? That is where your power lives, in your elevation, not their validation. The truth is, your new level cannot hold their old behavior. And that's not a punishment, it's a purification. It means you are shedding the illusions that once bound you. It means you are becoming more of who you truly are, someone who no longer tolerates inconsistency, dishonor, or emotional confusion. Someone who no longer seeks love through self-abandonment. Someone who does not wait, beg, or prove, but someone who embodies, let your rising do the speaking. Let your stillness be the answer. Let your transformation be the only closure you ever need. Those who are meant to walk with you at your new level will do so not because you call them back, but because they chose to evolve as well. And those who do not, bless them silently, for they have served their role as mirrors of your past. Do not confuse longing with love. Do not mistake loneliness for divine guidance. Your soul is calling you to move forward, not in search of a person, but in pursuit of your true self. The more you focus on your own becoming, the less you will need anyone to return to you. So rise, with dignity, with faith, with quiet certainty. The higher you ascend in consciousness, the more everything around you must conform to your new state. The old must either evolve or exit. And that is not a loss. That is the law. Let absence work on your behalf. Let it speak volumes in ways your words never could. There is a mysterious force in silence, a force that moves not with noise, not with pleading, not with effort, but with stillness, with restraint, with quiet certainty. In a world where people chase, explain, and overexpress, your absence becomes a message too loud to ignore. When someone walks away or treats you with indifference, the instinct is to fill the void, to explain, to reach out, to seek clarity. But this need to react often comes from a fear that silence means loss. It doesn't. True loss comes when you abandon yourself to stay visible in someone else's life. But when you withdraw and stand still in your own power, you give your absence permission to speak. It will echo in the spaces they once shared with you, in the moments they expect you to call, in the seconds their phone remains still. It will linger in their mind, not because of manipulation, but because of contrast. Human beings remember energy. They remember the presence of someone who carried truth, sincerity, and emotional weight. And when that presence is suddenly no longer available, the absence becomes undeniable. Silence has a language of its own. It doesn't beg, but it teaches. It teaches them what your presence truly meant. It allows them to reflect, to notice, to wonder. It gives them the space to confront their own emptiness without your constant reassurance. Sometimes your silence is the mirror they need to face their own behavior. Sometimes your absence reveals more than your words ever could. But this kind of silence is not passive. It is not the silence of defeat. It is the silence of knowing who you are, knowing your value, knowing that your worth does not diminish because someone fails to recognize it. It is the silence of a soul that refuses to beg for what is already divinely deserved. The seeds planted in silence are powerful. They take root not in haste, but in time. They grow slowly, invisibly beneath the surface of their mind. Days may pass, weeks perhaps, and then, suddenly, they feel it. The realization, the shift, the weight of your absence, which once seemed unimportant, becomes too heavy to ignore. It is then that they begin to understand what your presence carried, not because you chased them, not because you reminded them, but because you chose silence, because you let your absence speak the truth. And during this time, you are not waiting, you are rising, you are growing in strength, in vision, in purpose. You are turning inward, elevating your state of consciousness and aligning with a version of yourself that no longer needs to be chosen to feel valuable. This is the power of stillness. It centers you. It protects your energy. It reminds you that what is meant for you cannot be lost, and what is not meant for you will fall away, no matter how loud your words may be. When you choose silence, you choose self-respect. When you let absence speak, you allow the universe to move on your behalf. You no longer interfere. You no longer control. You allow space to do its sacred work. So do not underestimate what your silence is doing. Do not think you are forgotten. You are being remembered, slowly, deeply, in ways you cannot see. Let that be enough. Let the absence do what your presence could not. Let it whisper in the chambers of their heart what you once screamed with your words. Because the truth is, your energy was never invisible. It was simply taken for granted. Until now, you are always the operant power. Create. Don't chase. This is the sacred truth that the world forgets and that you must remember. You were never made to beg, to chase, to cling to outcomes or people as if they held your destiny in their hands. No, You are the center of your reality, the author, the director, the one who decides what is true for you. And until you awaken to that truth, you will continue to seek outside yourself what has always lived within. Chasing is the belief that what you want is separate from you. It is the idea that you must run towards something in order to possess it. But in truth, creation is not about pursuit, it is about assumption. It is not about forcing your will on the outer world, but about surrendering to the inner knowing that you are already what you seek. You do not chase what you already are, you assume it. The only pursuit that matters is the pursuit of the self, the assumption of your own magnificence, your own power, your own divine identity. That is the foundation upon which all things rest. If you see yourself as valuable, whole, and worthy, your world cannot help but reflect that back to you. But if you see yourself as lacking, unworthy, or forgotten, you will continue to attract experiences that echo that belief. You see, you are not a passive participant in this life. You are not a victim of random events or people's decisions. You are the cause, the operant power. Whatever you assume to be true within you must express itself around you. This is not philosophy, it is law. When you understand this, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop trying to convince others of your worth and begin to embody it in silence. When you chase someone's attention, their love, their approval, what are you really doing? You are telling the universe, I am not enough unless they choose me. And the universe, ever obedient, mirrors that belief. But when you choose yourself, when you assume your worth and act as though it is already acknowledged, the outer world bends to reflect that new assumption. Creation begins with identity. Who are you when no one is looking? Who are you when you are not trying to impress or prove? That version of you, the quiet, powerful, unshaken version, is the real you. And when you operate from that place, you no longer need to chase. You attract, you allow, you command. This is not arrogance, this is alignment. It is knowing that your desires were planted in your heart not to torment you, but to guide you toward who you were always meant to be. And once you become that version within, your world must mirror it without. Let others chase. Let them explain. Let them seek validation. But you remain still. Operate from the assumption that all things are already yours by divine right. Walk in your day as though your desire is a memory, not a wish. Let your imagination claim it now. Let your inner speech align with it now. You are not here to earn love. You are love. You are not here to chase success. You are success in motion. You are not here to prove your worth. You are worth incarnate. So breathe, stand tall, assume boldly, and create from the inside out. Because the moment you stop chasing and begin creating, everything you once ran toward will begin to seek you. Not because you needed it, but because you finally remembered. You were the source all along. Now you understand. You were never meant to beg, plead, or chase after anything in this world. You were born with the power to create, not to convince. Every silence you held, every moment you chose stillness over reaction, every time you elevated instead of engaging in desperation, that was power. That was you remembering who you are. They didn't abandon you. They walked away from their reflection. Your absence didn't go unnoticed. It was felt deeper than your presence ever could be. And while they wrestled with confusion, you rose. You became more. You returned to your throne, not waiting to be chosen, but choosing yourself fully. You are not the effect. You are the cause. You are the center of your world. Let absence speak. Let silence plant seeds. Let your assumption of magnificence lead the way. Do not wait for their return. Rise in consciousness. And in that rising, everything unlike your new state will either match it or fade away. Because in the end, the truth remains. You are the operant power. And from this point on, you no longer chase, you create. Say thank you. Thank you for listening. May you never forget the strength that lives in your silence, the truth that breathes in your stillness, and the power that is always, always within you.